so I am finally back from my vacation. I have a computer again, obviously, because I am able to film this video and edit it. So I won't go too much into details about my trip. I will talk a little bit more about that in probably what's going to be tomorrow's video, because I want to do a haul of everything that came while I was gone, because there was a lot of stuff and I'm excited to share all of it with you. And I also want you guys' opinion on what you want to see first. But obviously today's video is what I want to film with first, and this is the new Kaleidos palette. So while I was in Norway, I got reached out to by a guy named Mark, and he was from the, I don't know if he was from the PR team at Kaleidos or if he's one of the owners or whatnot, but he sent me an email and he was like,
"Hey, we have 2 new palettes coming out. Would you be interested in trying them?"
I'm just over here like, oh my god, of course I'd love to be able to try out your palettes, because I love the first 3. If you haven't seen the videos that I made with those palettes, I will pop some of them up in the corner because I made a lot of them, and I love those palettes so much. I can't even tell you. So here's what the box looks like. I have already opened this because I kind of did a small unboxing on my Instagram stories. So it did come wrapped with like a cute little bow and stuff, and here's what the inside looks like. These things come packaged so nicely and so secure. Like when you get a package, you get like this giant thing full of just like puffy plastic, and it looks like, you know, 4 times the size of this, but that's probably why all of the palettes always make it alive. And I love how this is like their normal packaging. This is not a PR package. Like this is how your palettes would come if you were to order like the bundle. And so before we get into these are going to launch on August 13th, and they will unfortunately be limited edition. I don't know how many stocks they're going to do with this. I did ask, and he was like,
"Well, if they are really popular, we might bring them back."
So, I mean, I wouldn't count on it, but just something to keep in mind that they will probably sell out really fast on the 13th. I don't know. I will put the time on the screen for when they will launch. I want to say it was 8 p.m. PST. I could be wrong. I don't want to put anything out there. I'll put it up on the screen what time they're going to launch, just so you know. So here is what the palettes look like. So we have 2 of them here, and they all come packaged the way that they always do, or the way that, you know, the previous collection did. So we have here the Kaleidos Futurism 4, so this is the VR Neon. This is what the packaging looks like. I will open them, obviously, and show you what they look like. So here is what the Neon palette looks like. They open like this, like all of the palettes, and now the slip here is going to fall out because, oh, no, it's stuck to the mirror. So basically here is the shade names for this. So I did take some pictures of these, and I don't remember if it's like this way or this way or this way. So I'm going to throw these away. So if you want to know the names of the shadows, I will leave, of course, leave their website down below so you can go check out these palettes. Link is not affiliated or anything like that. I just got these to, you know, showcase because I love them. So here's what the first palette looks like. This is absolutely stunning. But if you guys have been on my channel for a while, you would know that I am very skeptical when it comes to pressed neon shadows, and I have not had very good experience with really any. So you know what, as much as I would love this palette to be absolutely amazing, I don't have the highest expectations just because they are neons. But because they're from Kaleidos, I really have high hopes, so we're gonna just see how it goes. So that's the first palette. I will open the other one for you as well. So what I plan on doing in this video is, after I'm done showing these, I'm going to do swatches with both of the palettes, and then I'm going to do a look with each of the palettes, and then I will give you my thoughts. It's not going to be my final review on these because I am going to probably do another like 2 looks 1 palette with both of these, because that is what I did with the first collection. So next up we have the Kaleidos Futurism V Electro-turquoise. Here's what the packaging looks like. Oh, these are so pretty. I love the packaging of these. And the slip just fell out, but that's okay. So here's what the other one looks like, and I will say I feel like they did a better job on the color story of these palettes, because with the first ones there were like 2 shades in each of the palettes that were very similar, but in these you don't have that. So I'm interested because these also have a new formula. So it is called, what was it called? It was called a sparkling duochrome, or I don't remember what they were called, but basically each of these palettes have a unique formula. So I'm going to swatch these out for you so you can see what they both look like. I will probably just swatch them separately and then show you close-ups, and then I will come back and we can talk a little bit about the swatches, and I will figure out what the name of that special shadow in each of these palettes were, because I don't remember. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the swatches. So let's do the neon one first, and then we'll do the turquoise one after. So my first impression swatching these palettes is that they seem exactly like the same formula as the other three, which makes me so happy. The neons swatched amazingly. I didn't even have to build them up, which sometimes neons will swatch really patchy, so I am so excited to try this out. I will say I have a little bit of like a nitpicky thing when it comes to the color story in the neon palette, and that is that I don't really understand why they put in an orange here instead of a pink, because you can make an orange by mixing the red and the yellow, but you can't mix any of these shades to make a pink. And I just think it would be fun to have a pink in here, because pink is like one of the neons that I really love, but that could just be like me being biased in that I really like pink shadows. But just something that I kind of thought of is that I wish there was a pink matte instead of a orange matte. So let's see, which one do I want to do first? I kind of feel like I want to play with the neon first because I'm just so excited, but that means I have to wash that off after and I have to wear the other look. So maybe I'll save the neon for last. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'm excited for both of them. I think they're so beautiful. I think we're actually going to start off by the turquoise palette because I want to wear the neon one the rest of the day. So I'm going to go ahead and prime my eyes with my MAC Paint Pot in Soft Ochre like I always do. I don't like using a white base. I know I've said that many times, and I know that's probably the best way to get neons to really show up, but I don't like to do that, so I'm not doing it. Oh, and I did look up what the shimmery shadows were called, so it seems like all of the shimmers in both of these palettes are that new formula, and it's just called a sparkling duochrome. I think that's what I said it was called, but basically they have like little glitter particles in it, but they are eye safe. I did ask them about that, which I think is great. And you can't really see the glitter anyway, so it's more like just a very, very shiny metallic shadow. Those are my favorites. I'm so excited about this. So I think what I'm gonna do is I want to probably try to use all of the shadows in this palette, and then in the neon one, I'll probably skip the orange since there is an orange in here, and because, I don't know, yeah, I have no reason. But anyway, we're gonna just get into this palette now. So I think what I'll start with is setting my eyeshadow primer, because I remember with the other palettes that I have from Kaleidos that some of the mattes are a little bit hard to blend, and since none of these shadows are, you know, necessarily the color that needs a tacky base like the neons, I will not be setting my primer with those. But since I do have experience with these kind of shadows, I'm gonna go ahead and set my primer. This is like the only formula that I feel like I can do this with and still have the shadows show up like as pigmented as they would be if I didn't set my primer. So if I can set my primer and get away with that, I'm definitely going to do that. So I'm just taking a nude color eyeshadow now and just putting this all over my lids here. So what I want to do first is I first want to go into the orange shadow, and I want to put that in the first half of my crease, and then I'm going to blend that into the kind of teal color here, and I'm expecting those to make a bit of like a dirty green in the middle. I don't think they're going to get too muddy, so that's what we're going to try to do here. So I'm just taking a bit of a small fluffy brush here, and I'm just going to start packing this into my crease. Obviously not the last part of my crease, but just like the first half or so here, I want to say. And I'm also just going to blend this out everywhere as I go along. I'm pulling this about a little over halfway because I am going to layer the teal above this and blend these in together. And I'm also pulling it down all the way into my inner corner here. I do think that maybe this shadow would probably be a little bit better if I were to put it down on a tacky base, but I mean, you can tell it's still showing up really nicely. And if I do find that some of these shadows need something tacky, I will for sure do that when I do the 2 looks and review with these palettes. But in this video, I just want to kind of, you know, play with them and test them out and see how I feel about it up on my first impression. And then I will go ahead and do a more thorough review when I've had time to play more with these palettes. I'm then going to go ahead and take the same brush that I wiped off, and I'm going to put that teal color in the outer part of my crease here. And I'm not going to put it in the outer corner because I'm going to go ahead and put the brown there. So I'm just going to put this in the outer part of my crease. And I'm also going to gently blend this into the orange, but I don't want to overblend these 2 colors. I just want to gently tap these across here. So I think this is looking pretty good, and then I'm going to go into the last of the dark shadows here, which is the dark brown. And I'm just going to use that same brush still, and I'm going to put this in the outer corner of my eye. And I'm also going to be connecting this down to my lower lash line here, and also making sure that the blend everywhere is looking nice. And the shadow is laying down so opaquely and so nicely. I'm just pulling this about, I don't know, halfway in through my crease here and maybe a little bit over that orange. And like I said, I'm also going to go ahead and take this down to my lower lash line about halfway across. I am totally getting Subculture vibes right now. I don't know if I'm the only one, but I feel like I could have done the same thing with the Subculture palette, which I love that palette, by the way. I do think that the teal shade is showing up a little bit more green on my eye. I don't know if that is maybe the eyeshadow primer. It definitely could be, since that is a bit yellow toned. But just like an observation. And it's getting a little bit muddy just like right here, but that's just because I plan on putting shimmers on top of that anyway, so I don't really care. And then for the last matte, I'm going to go ahead and take this light blue here, and I'm going to put that in the first half of my lower lash line. There's a little bit of kick up with these shadows, but that's not really something that bothers me at all, because I know that usually pigmented shadows are very kick-uppy, so I don't really care. I'm just very careful when I place the shadows on my eyes, and I don't swirl my brush into it. And the shadow is really, really pretty. And the reason why I wanted to put this here and not like in my crease or something is because I feel like this shadow would really make things muddy if it were to touch the orange. And since I wanted to use all of the shades in this palette, I needed to kind of separate the two. And I also just think that the two shimmers are going to look really nice together with the shadows that I have on my eye now. Obviously this is looking a little bit crazy, but just bear with me because I think this is really going to come together. So I'm next going to go into the first of the shimmer shades here, which is the darkest of the shimmers, and this is a kind of teal yellow duochrome. I'm not really sure how to explain that, but we're going to try to put that on the lid, obviously. And I'm taking that on my MAC 242 brush. I'm going to go ahead and spray that, not because I think it needs it, just because I don't want to deal with fallout. That's like the main reason why I spray my shadows. And I'm gonna go ahead and put that on the middle of my eye here and probably most of the way in. And oh my god, you cannot see how glittery this shadow is unless it's on your own eye. Like, that is so beautiful. Oh, I love that. Like, on my eye, it has such a yellow shift to it, which you can't really see in the pan. And I love shadows that just transform when you put it on the eyes. Oh, I think this is beautiful. So I'm just kind of gently mixing this into the dark brown on the outer corner. I'm not going to pull this all the way out, but I am going to pull it probably about 3/4 of the way out or so. And then I'll go in with the brown again and just layer a little bit more of that on top just to mix everything together. And I still do have a little bit of fallout with the shade, which I'm not really surprised given how glittery this shadow is, but that is so beautiful. Oh my god, that looks so wet. And these could definitely be used as a topper shade if you don't go as heavy as I do and you spray them. You could easily just take a little bit of this on your finger. I can't believe I'm saying this because I never use my finger, but if you took a little bit on your finger and you just gently tapped it on top of, you know, another shadow that you have all over your lid, I think that would be really, really beautiful and just add a bit of a sparkling effect. So I think this is looking really nice, but obviously you can see this is super opaque when you go in with it with a bit more of a heavy hand, and you definitely don't need to do a cut crease or anything like this because this is going to cover up anything that you have in your crease anyway. Oh, I think that is so pretty. So to finish up, I'm going to go in with the last shadow, which is more of a white yellow duochrome, I would say that this is. So we're going to see how this looks. I feel like this is going to really complete the look. And I'm going to go ahead and put that obviously on the rest of my lid here. And I feel like this is not as opaque as the other shadow. This definitely seems to be more of a topper. So maybe if I knew that, I would have done a half cut crease, but I mean, it's totally fine because it's just mixing into the orange and those are looking really nice together. These are so glittery, you guys. Like, this is so pretty. I'm just gently going to mix these two colors in together, which should not be a problem at all, given that they both have a bit of a yellow undertone or a yellow shift to them. This is so pretty. You know what these remind me of? It reminds me a lot on the eye, that is, of the Uma Beauty palette that I tried. But I found that those shadows were so gritty and just uncomfortable on the eye, even though the end result ended up looking very similar to this, but I just did not like how that formula felt on my eyes. So I couldn't recommend it because I didn't think that a lot of people would love that, but the look that I came up with using one of their palettes ended up being so pretty. And it's almost like the same effect as I feel like these shadows are, but these are like nice and comfortable on the eyes and you can't feel the glitter at all, and you also don't need to use glitter glue. You definitely could if you wanted to, but I do feel like spraying them definitely makes it come out a lot more than if you don't spray them. But that's really the truth with all shadows in my opinion. So I'm just gonna go ahead and finish up this eye. I just think that this is so pretty. Like, I really hope that you guys are going to be able to see what I see in the close-ups because oh, it's so sparkly and wet looking and glittery. Like, I almost feel like if you like a glittery highlight, you would love this shadow as a face highlight. But I'm not really much of a glitter on my face kind of person, but on my eyes, yes please. So I think this is all I'm going to do. I do think it's looking a little bit muddy right there. I was kind of afraid of that, but I don't want to go in and, you know, try to blend more because it's just going to make it worse. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up the rest of my eyes, put on a lipstick, and then I'll be right back and we can talk a little bit about this palette before we get into the neon palette. Alright, so here is the completed look with the turquoise palette. What was this called? It was called the Electro-turquoise. So to finish off my look, I did do a little bit more blending and I went in with a bit more of that orange. I still think it's looking a little bit muddy, but that is totally my fault and I fully take the blame for that. So for my waterline, I used the Colourpop liner in the shade, what is this called? I never know what anything is called. It's in the shade Zulu. And then on my lips, I used Christmas Cookie by Jeffree Star and I topped it with Wet Peach, which is also his gloss. And I really like how this look turned out, like all put together. Is it my favorite look that I've ever done? No, but I mean the formula on this is absolutely amazing. Next time I will probably not set my eyeshadow primer with this because I do feel like they would probably pop a little bit more if I didn't, but I mean obviously they still did really, really good. I will say though that I did have to clean up a lot, so next time when I do a look with the neon palette, I'll make sure to use a glitter glue with the glittery shadows because I don't want to walk around with glitter on my face. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and show you the close-ups of this, and then I'm going to take this eye makeup off and then we can get into doing a look with the neon palette. Alright, we are good to go again, and this time we are using the neon palette, obviously. So I'm first going to start off by taking the red shadow, and I plan on putting that into my crease. I'm going to keep the shape of this pretty round, and then I'm going to go in after and blend it out with the yellow. Now the trick with this palette is that there are some complementary colors in here, which is going to make it a little bit hard to use a lot of these colors together. So green and orange is complementary, which means that they make a brown if they mix, so you really don't want to mix those two in together. And also green and red kind of make a bit of a dirty color, so if you're going to mix, you want to mix either, you know, the yellow, orange, red together, or you want to mix the green and the yellow together. If you go in with the green with any of the like warmer tones, it's going to look a little bit muddy. So just something to keep in mind, that if you know, maybe want to use some of these shadows all on your eyes, that you want to keep them separated, or do a cut crease and then do like one of the colors on the lid or something like that. So like I said, I'm first going to go ahead and dip into the red, and I wonder if this is going to be like a true red, but we're going to find out. So I'm just going to place this. I have primed with my MAC paint pot again, but I did not set this. So I'm going to go ahead and just pack this into my crease, and that is actually looking like a true red from what I can see. It's definitely not leaning pink, if anything, which is great because a lot of reds tend to do that. And so I'm gonna keep this kind of low down because, like I said, I'm gonna go in with that yellow after, which is why I'm using a bit of a small brush here. And I'm just going to put this in my whole crease. And I'm keeping this very, very round here because I think I'm gonna do one of my big fun wings because I just think that that would be kind of cool with this look. So I'm happy with this as long as I can see everything when my eye is open. And I think that is looking pretty good the way it is right now. Now that I have this the way that I want it, I'm going to dip into the yellow shadow, and I'm going to use my same brush. This is the Morphe E36. I basically just wipe it off on my towel in front of me because I'm lazy and it works out great every time. So this shadow definitely has more kick up than the red did. So I'm going to tap that off gently, and then I'm just going to go ahead and try to pack this on right above that red that I put down. I don't want to blend too much here. I do want this to be quite a vibrant color. And I'm gonna go ahead and mix these in together when I'm done packing the shadow on. And I do think this is showing up pretty nicely. It's hard to say though. It would be easier to tell if I were to put this yellow as like the first color in my crease, how well this really shows up. But you can see now when I'm starting to blend a little bit that is creating a bit of a orange gradient in the middle here, which is why I don't really feel like an orange is needed in this palette, but I can see a lot of people really being happy about the orange being in there, but I think with a pink it would maybe just be a little bit more versatile, and you know, you'd be able to make more looks out of it than just having a orange, red, yellow gradient going on. And this color seems to be building up really nicely. So far I'm really happy with this yellow. So I think I'm gonna leave it like this. I'm gonna take a little bit more of that red, and I just want to make sure that the blend between the two colors are looking nice. So I'm taking a bit of a fluffier brush here. I'm just gonna run that right in between here again and just blend it into the yellow a bit more, just so I don't have a sharp line of red in my crease. I think what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and actually map out the wing that I want to make, and I'm going to use an eyeliner to do that with. And I'm going to use Piggy Bank, I think this is, no, Dial Up by Colourpop, which is just a pink. So I'm going to go ahead and map out a wing with this, and why am I using this mirror? That's not what I meant to do. So I'm going to go ahead and just take this and draw this where I want it to be, and I'm only going to use this for like the outer part of my wing here. And it's going to be quite a big dramatic wing. So now that I have like the line done, I'm gonna start connecting this with my lid here, and I'm just gonna draw a line basically into where the hood of my eye is. And then I'm just gonna fill in like the outer part of my wing here, and I'm not going to do much more than this because I'm gonna use the shadows on my lid. So, and I'm also going to layer that pink shadow on top of this wing. I just want this to be like the outline for where my wing is, and it's nice to just have a base so that I don't go crazy with the shadow. Alright, so usually at this step I would go ahead and cut my crease, but I really don't feel like I need it, so I'm gonna take some glitter glue instead. And basically my plan here is to put the pink shadow, this one right here, basically all over my lid, and then I think I'm gonna go ahead and put maybe like some of the orange shimmer on the lower lash line as well as the green. I haven't quite decided yet, but I'm gonna go ahead and just put on some glitter glue now. I'm just gonna put that on all of my lid here. I'm gonna kind of create a bit of a cut crease with this, but it doesn't matter if I'm like super exact or not. I'm just gonna meet that up with the wing that I have drawn here. Just put a little bit of that glitter glue on my wing as well. And then I'm gonna dip into that pink shadow with the same brush. And I'm just gonna go ahead and wow. Slap that all over my lid. I mean, that is beautiful. Oh my god, I love that shadow. I am such a sucker for pink shimmer. Oh, I think a lot more brands should be making pink shimmers because they are so pretty, and I love the shift in this. And I'm also gonna go ahead and fill in my wing with this shadow here. And so now it doesn't matter if I'm not like super exact since I already have the pink laid down. Obviously not everybody has a pink eyeliner to do that with, but you could probably even use like black as a base because I feel like this shadow would cover that up very nicely. So I think that is beautiful. I'm gonna go ahead and just clean up a little bit on like the outer edge here with a makeup wipe because I see I have a little bit of just yellow and orange coming through. And I don't want that. I want this area to be completely clean. I know you can't see what I'm doing, but just trust me, I'm just trying to clean up a bit here. And then I'm going to go in with some concealer after and just kind of cover that up again. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go into the green, and I'm basically going to put that all over my lower lash line, and then for the rest of my lid here I'm going to go in with a bit of that orange. I think that's going to be the plan. Now normally with a shadow like this on my lower lash line I would go in with some eyeshadow primer, but I think I'm going to try it first without, and then maybe I will go in with a little bit if this isn't like sticking properly to my lower lash line. But I really do have high expectations for this shadow, which I don't know if I should have because it's not showing up that well. Yeah, I mean, that's not as vibrant as I'm able to get it, so I am going to go ahead and take a little bit of my paint pot. And this doesn't by any means mean that this shadow is bad, it's just what you have to do with shadows like this. You know, it's not the shadows to blame. I think they're just really, really hard to make. So let's try this again now and see if I can get this to show up a little bit better. I'm just using a packing brush, and I'm being very handed with this. I'm really packing on as much shadow as I can, and it's definitely sticking a lot better to my eye with some tacky eyeshadow primer down. I'm gonna leave a little bit of room just in my inner corner here for that orange. And I really like that green, the way it's popping now. I felt like it was definitely a bit lackluster before I put down my eyeshadow primer. gonna take a bit of a fluffier brush and just blend gently right where I want the blend to be. I'm not pulling this all the way up, I just want to diffuse the line here a little bit. And then for the last shadow, I'm gonna go into the orange shimmer right here. Not gonna use any glitter glue with this, but I am gonna go ahead and spray this. And I'm gonna pop that on the first part of my lid here. I definitely think that the glitter shadows just perform better and they just lay nicer on the eye with glitter glue, so just something to keep in mind. Because I'm not usually one to use glitter glue, but I can see already with these shadows that they're just going to perform better when you do. But this is absolutely stunning. And I also didn't have any fallout at all with the pink glitter when I did use glitter glue. And I feel like this one might be even more glittery, which I'm kind of here for that because you guys know I hate pressed glitters, but when there are shadows that are glittery, like that's way different than a shadow being a glitter, if I'm making any sense. But I love shadows that have glitter in them, but they're not like big glitter particles. And I have something under my eye here that doesn't want to come off. I think it's like an eye booger that I pulled down. I think I got it, so I'm gonna go ahead and do this eye as well. Okay, so I like this look more than I like the look that I did with the first palette, so I think for my waterline I want to go with Cross by Colourpop, which is, it looks like a neon yellow. It's not a neon, it's more like a pastel yellow, but I'm gonna pop this in my waterline. I'm gonna do some liner and mascara, put on a fun lipstick. Maybe I'll just go with a nude today. I haven't really decided, but you'll see in a bit, and then I will give you my final thoughts on these palettes, or not my final thoughts, but my current thoughts on these palettes. So here is the completed look. Now I think I like this look more than I like the look with the first palette, but not really surprised by that because these colors are more my thing. So for lips, I used the Revlon Color Stay lip liner in the shade Rose. So Color Stay lip liner. It's really hard to speak today. And then for my lipstick, I used the DHC Cosmetics lipstick in the shade Nude. I've been trying this out. I haven't really formed my opinion yet, but I like the color of this with this look. I've had a hard time like matching this with my eye looks because I feel like it has a bit of like a peachy undertone and that doesn't really go with a lot of the eye looks that I do. But I like the color with this look, and yeah, so as for my thoughts on this palette, now I will say that I think the formula, the matte formula, seems a little bit different in these palettes compared to the first palettes. I feel like with this palette I will probably not set my primer next time because I felt like they got a little bit dusty. They were still pigmented, but not as pigmented as I remember the other palettes being. But that's not to say that it's bad at all. I mean, I think the formula of these are great. I mean, especially the shimmers. The shimmers are just, oh my god, they have my heart. I love the shimmers so much, and that goes for both of the palettes. I think this new formula is absolutely incredible, especially used with a glitter glue. I think that they really pop, and they are just so wet looking and metallic, and I love that kind of formula. So I'm really impressed with the shimmer formulas. I think that the mattes are good, but I need to figure out how to best work with them, and that's more on my part than it is the palette's fault, because usually you guys know I don't set my eyeshadow primer, so when I go ahead and set my primer, it's usually because I'm used to a palette performing a certain way, and I didn't feel like the mattes in the first palette that I used performed the way that I remember the mattes in the first three palettes. They could very well be the same formula, and I am just having like an off day because I haven't been filming in like 2 weeks, and apparently I've kind of forgotten how to do makeup during that time. But as for the neon palette, I think that the red shade is absolutely beautiful. I think it's a pretty true red. It might be leaning a little bit lighter than a true red. It's not like a dark true red, more of like a bright true red, which makes sense because it's a neon palette. I mean, come on. And then I will say that the yellow isn't like the favorite matte yellow that I have in my collection, but I've still yet to find like my perfect matte yellow. And the green, you know, it did need a little bit of help, which is to be expected, but I'm still looking for like my perfect green neon lime kind of color, and I don't feel like this is it. It's a good color, but it's not. I feel like a better one exists out there. That's not to say it's a bad one. Like I said before, the shimmers in this are just absolutely amazing. And yeah, I like this palette. I don't think that, see, I think with neon shadows, it's just really hard to expect perfection because I don't think anything neon is perfect yet, and I don't think that this palette is perfect either with the mattes, but I think they're okay. I think they're pretty good. You know, I've had way worse neons in my collection that I've decluttered a long time ago, and this is not going anywhere because I still really, really like this palette, but I still think that there is room for improvement. But yeah, I mean, I think both of these are great. I just love Kaleidos as a brand so much. And I just want to say thank you to them for sending me these palettes. I mean, that honestly, that just made my day when I got that email, because being reached out to by a brand that I absolutely love and adore, which doesn't happen very often, and I'm not really on any PR lists, which is from a brand that I already know I love. A lot of the time with PR, it's from brands that I haven't really heard about, or brands that I've kind of like been on my radar, but it hasn't been like my holy grail brands, you know what I mean? And I feel like Kaleidos is going to be one of those brands for me that I just want to buy everything from. So being able to show you guys these palettes before they even come out is just such a great opportunity, not only for me, but for you guys to see how they perform and to make up your mind before they even go live. So yeah, I am so excited to have these palettes and to add them to my collection, and I think they are beautiful. I think the packaging on these is just everything. I don't know, man. There's something about Kaleidos that just really gets to me. So that's going to be my thoughts on these palettes, you know, having tried them both once. But of course I'm going to do more looks with these palettes. I don't know when that's going to be. I am going to go through all of the new things that I bought first and make videos, like separate videos with those, and then I'll come back to these. And when I do come back to these, I will do 2 more looks with each and like a final review, and then really sum up how I feel about these, because I need to play around with my own applications a bit more before I can give you like my final thoughts on these palettes, because I feel like I still have a little bit to learn by working with these. So yeah, that's going to be my thoughts. Let me know if you are interested in these palettes. Like I said, they are going to be launching on August 13th, so I will have all the information down in the description box. And yeah, that's going to be today's video. So I will pop some more videos up on the screen for you to go check out if you are bored and you want to watch something else. And if you're new to my channel, I would love it if you would consider subscribing, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.